So dreamer or change maker? Dreamer is someone who spends a lot of time thinking about things they would like to happen. Actually, those thoughts are generally perceived by the people around them as unrealistic. A change maker is a selective dreamer who works really hard to turn their dreams into reality. So what do we mean by change? Change could be leading an intellectual revolution on the level of Lebanon to give the country its glory again. But change could also be behaving as good citizens and raising our children to be good citizens. Can the first one happen without the second? Not a chance. We need to know that change starts from within. We cannot expect to change the world if we didn't change ourselves. I did this. I changed. Not so long ago, actually. 5 years ago, to be specific. I was led by all those kinds of stereotypes in our society, judgmental approaches. Let me give you some examples. So being an engineer, although I'm an engineer, by the way, but being an engineer means it's the majors that are going to give you the prestigious class in our society. That being a woman means I should have one main focus, which is being a wife and a mother at a very young age. Which means as well that I cannot express my political or religious thoughts clearly, especially if they contradict with the people around me. Few big failures happened to me, one after the other. By then, I thought like, it's the worst period of my life. Now I see it as actually the best one, because it helped me shape my current self, my free self. I'm now a positive, rebellious person. And here I insist on being positive, rebellious, because being rebellious without a plan can create chaos. But being positive, rebellious can actually lead to an impact. And being rebellious means we need to step out of our comfort zone. Means we need to do better than good enough. So now let's be honest with ourselves and answer this question. Are we dreamers or are we change makers? Are we driving the change or are we being driven by the change? I'm going to try to answer myself. So now I'm 30 years old. I'm a social entrepreneur. I'm lecturer at St. Joseph University, by the way, without a master's degree or a PhD, but because I showed a certain value I can give to the university. I've been volunteering in the last few years, 40% of my time, on organization working on women and youth empowerment. Why women and youth? Because they represent 70% of our society, but unfortunately, they are the least heard. So this is a picture at one of our events at Facebook Dev Circle. So I'm leading Facebook Dev Circle with Salah. So we have now more than 2,000 developers in our circle. I chose this picture specifically because Salah in the picture is as well my husband. When we first got married, people told me, they were very specific, by the way, I'm going to give you 2 months. He's going to get sick of you, from your ambition, from you want to changing the world. But here we are, still together, trying together to lead the change. And we're trying to empower each other on both personal and professional. Because if we're not happy, we're not going to be able to translate this motivation, this happiness to each other first and then to the community. So this is on a side note. We need to be happy to be able to change. So now returning to the question, am I a change maker? Well, I see it very hard to give ourselves this title. I don't see myself entitled to say I'm a change maker. It's something granted by the people around us who tell us that you have changed our life, that you have helped us get better opportunities. So now, am I a change maker? Actually, people tell me sometimes this, but they tell me as well, you're lucky. Only dreamers talk about luck. Change makers know that luck equals hard work. No change can happen without really hard work. And luckily, we live in an environment like it's full of challenges. So we can actually pick whatever we want and work on it. So, what are the steps to be change makers? Upon a close observation to the influencers here or on international level, I can summarize it in 3 steps. First, we need to select our battle. We need to select what do we want to change. Second, we need to draft a plan and have a really strong team with us. And third, it's retrospective and celebration. Now we're going to try to dig deep into those steps. So selecting what do we want to change, it seems very easy, but actually it's the most difficult step. Currently, if I want to see the list of what do I want to change, I want to get rid of the corrupted political system in Lebanon. I want to see more women and youth in decision-making position. I want to grow my company and go international. Why not? On a personal level, I want to stay healthy and fit. I want to spend more time with my family and friends. And the list of what I want to change goes on and on and on. Not so long ago, I tried actually to tackle all of those together. I almost burned out. Yes, similar to this. And having actually really slight impact on all of those. So I understood if I really want to make change, I need to focus on one or two aspects at a time. We need to know our mental and physical abilities. And we are different from each other. Each one of us have their own circumstances, have their own needs, and have their own resources. What really matters is to focus on something we love, something we are passionate about. Because if we do our best in something we love, we're going to do the best out of it, and not only the best. I'm going to give you an example. So now we have 48% unemployment rate in Lebanon. It's very easy to blame it on the political and the economical situation. But if you want to dig deep into the actual reasons why we have this high number, I'm going to give you two main reasons as well. First is the digital and technical literacy. Our world is changing. It's moving towards digital. But actually, we're not going in the same pace. And here, I'm not talking only about people with non-technical background, even engineers, even computer science graduates. Sometimes we surrender to the gap that we have between the university and the market. It's our loss. We need to self-develop ourselves. We need to work on our skill set. So digital education is the first step. Second, let's suppose we've worked on ourselves, we volunteered in a lot of organizations, we've did a lot of work experience, but we are unable to translate all this experience to recruiters, for example. So our professional branding is not on the needed level. And by professional branding, I mean drafting good CV, having great LinkedIn profile, everything related to our social and digital presence. I'm not going to get the needed opportunities. So this challenge, which is actually the 48 unemployment rate, I know that I have decided to work on, as a lot of Lebanese people have decided to work on, to try to reduce this unemployment rate and to reduce the brain drain as well. It might be very hopeful, but let me tell you something. If we were able to reduce only 1% collectively, and not only myself, I'm going to see it as a big achievement and a big success, because at least we have done the first step. We started by doing the change. So now we have the idea. We have selected our battle. Next step would be the plan, to actually draft our plan. It's good to learn from what happened around us, but we don't need to follow exactly the same steps of other people. It's fine to have our own way, our own approach to tackling stuff. Remember, the main innovation is you. It's important as well to have a strong team, to surround ourselves with like-minded people, people who's going to push us forward and not push us backward. We need to be authentic. Why? Because a lot of people nowadays are pretending to be change makers and marketing themselves as change maker. What really matters is when I look in front of my mirror in my own house, I'm going to see exactly the image I'm trying to broadcast to other people. Otherwise, I might be a hypocrite, and I think our world is already full of hypocrites. We need as well to know our value, but stay humble. We need to know our value to stay confident along the way. But we need to be humble to embrace our failures, to know that one failure, it's not cliche, it's really failure after failure, it's our main learning curve. I'm not going to give you an example like Oprah Winfrey or Malala. I'm going to give you a really lighter example, local example. An initiative that's happening in one of the cities, marginalized cities in Lebanon. So they have a lot of widowed women and single moms and women who needs to afford like everything related to expenses of the family, and they are good cooks. And from the other hand, there's a lot of young girls and boys that are unable to get the needed education. So the plan here was to actually cater this food to the events. And the profit was being divided between those women and to sponsor the education of those young girls and boys, who once they graduate, they become volunteer in the same initiative. So in an area full of challenges, they were able to draft a plan that had plenty, hundreds of women and young girls and boys to get education and to be able to sponsor their families. So third point, we have drafted the plan. Now we need to do the retrospective to see where we are in our project. We need to measure the KPIs, key performance indicators. It's actually to see if we have exceeded our expectation, we are on the right track. But what I generally see, especially when being change maker, most of the time it's a volunteering initiative, a social initiative. So it's very important to measure two KPIs. The KPI of our happiness along the way, and the KPI of being satisfied from our accomplishment. Because if those KPIs are not high, we might be demotivated, and we need the motivation momentum to remain rolling. As for the celebration, and I learned this as well not long time ago, when we jump from one project to another, from one change plan to another, we're gonna get tired. So in a certain time, we need to stop, breathe, and then start again with our next project, and celebrate with the people we love. So to conclude, is our world changing? Yes, indeed it is. It's becoming full of digitization and automation. Are we at risk, especially in developing countries? Yes, we are. Does that mean we need to get demotivated and wait for our destiny to happen? Indeed not. We're not going to do this. We need to create our own destiny. We need to know that the machine can stimulate, but we cannot be. What we are forgetting to do on this side of the world is to be again. Be in all our senses. Be in listening to others, active listening to others. Be in seeing deeply everything and having our own objective opinion about stuff. We need to be in voicing our thoughts loudly and clearly. We need to be proactive instead of being each time reactive. We need to be producers again instead of being only consumers. So in a nutshell, we need to be our dream. So do you want to leave this room being dreamers, or do you want to leave being change makers? Thank you.